Bologna.
So we did not spoil it for you, but Lorenzo on this brand new deck, Centur-ION. What do you guys think of this deck?
It's very interesting to me that Lorenzo has made the decision to play this, because he was always someone that relied on super consistent strategies that are actually just top meta. He played Kashtira for a long time, making him the national champion. He also played Unchained in Dortmund, so he was always going with the top meta strategies. But now he's going with a deck that just came into the format, that has no success so far, but that means he has to have high hopes for the deck.
All right, but no success so far indicates that there was a chance to play the deck
exactly,
a lot.
Exactly.
This is basically the first tournament, couldn't even play locals with the deck.
But that means that he had to have high hopes for this. He could have played locals. Like, Valiant Smashers has been around for a couple of weeks, but he probably tested this a lot, and he's confident enough to bring it to a YCS, and he starts things off here with Pot of Prosperity, which is a good start for any kind of deck, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, I agree exactly with what you were saying. Like, we saw Lorenzo playing Kashtira and Unchained, which were two of the most kind of, you know, popular decks, tried and true kind of style of decks, and now we see him just picking up something completely new, which is really exciting to see.
I love it. Oh, there's one of his Kashtira cards. He still couldn't part ways with Kashtira Fenrir, still in his main deck there. But we also see the Centur-ION cards he's bringing in. Honestly, just in general, about the Centur-ION deck, what is really cool about it is that you have a lot of space for non-engine, honestly. You can play so many hand interactions. We already see there's Effect Veiler, there's Bestials in there, there's Ash Blossom, of course. He can really, really prepare for all kind of different matchups with this strategy here.
Yes, and I think this is why the deck is a little more popular amongst the top players. We have also talked to other people who are running the deck, and this is such a wide format. It's really hard to put just 15 side deck cards that are going to win you matchups against different top tier decks. So you have to include as many hand traps in your main deck as somehow possible, and just that this deck is perfect for this.
So you don't want 15 cards in your side deck, you want to put all of those in your main deck before.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that makes a total of 30, right? Okay, so normally we were going with Centur-ION Primera there. We grabbed that off of the Prosperity. And I think normally you would actually go for the field spell, but instead he added Centur-ION Phalanx, and we quickly realized why that was, because he already had the field spell in his hand, so we have access now to the Phalanx, but also to the field spell, to the stand-up Centur-ION.
So just for players who are not as familiar with this deck, it's because it's brand new, obviously.
For sure.
It has 3 monsters that you can play in the main deck, and they all have an effect that when they're placed in the spell and trap card zone as a continuous trap, you can special summon them during the main phase. And you can only do that once per turn, per copy of each card, obviously. And then they all have effects that allow you to put Centurion monsters from your deck or possibly from your graveyard into the spell and trap card zone, which then allow you to special summon them. Yep. So for example, the field spell lets you discard a card and put any Centurion monster from your deck into the spell and trap card zone.
Which is what just happened, right? Yeah, we discarded one card, got another one there into the spell and trap zone. Oh, but we're setting the trap. Is that all we have? Okay, that setup doesn't look crazy. It's really not a combo deck. It's just a little bit of setup, and Lorenzo hopes that the combination of this and the rest of his hand cards are going to carry him to victory here.
Yeah, it's looking like this is really not the optimal setup for Lorenzo at all. So if I were to guess, it would be because he has the third copy, that third Centurion monster in his hand, and you can't fetch it out the hand to put it in the spell and trap card zone. Unfortunately, it's level 8, so you can't special summon it from your, normal it from your hand either. And he's only running the 1 copy, so I've seen some players running more than 1, just in case you draw it. But it looks like if you draw it, you're just kind of stuck.
That's true. Kirollos is having a good opening with a card that has been wanted by a lot of players. The wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. Such a powerful quick spell card. It skyrocketed Rescue Ace to the top of the metagame.
For sure, but not only that, it really may be the most popular engine of the entire format right now, the most popular engine of the weekend. I think we're going to see a lot of Sinful Spoils cards in all kind of decks. Infernoble, Rescue Ace you were just mentioning, but even strategies like Kashtira have now included those cards. Maybe we even see like some completely cool stuff like Infernoble or something using it. I would really love that. Okay, and there's the reinforcement of the army, probably now giving away what the main engine of the deck is to Lorenzo as well. Kirollos obviously knows, but Lorenzo is about to find out there is a warrior deck around, and we're starting off with Neospace Connector.
Could have still been Rescue Ace.
I was going to say,
True, but now it's clear.
Connector is just such a good card in combo decks. If you're managing to profit off of having warriors on the field, this is one of the best cards in the entire deck. Special summoning out the best Neospatial monster there is. Not there was. Grand Mole had its time, but
You're telling me that Elemental Hero Neos is not the best Neospatial?
I'm sorry to break it to you, Tom.
What about Elemental Hero Honest Neos, at least?
All right, okay. That
Rainbow
was way
Neos?
too good.
But now, Lorenzo, as we were explaining, is playing like a lot of hand interactions. So that is very vulnerable to the Aqua Dolphin we just summoned out, because a lot of those could be discarded by the effect of the Aqua Dolphin. So maybe we immediately have to respond to the summon of it here to save our cards in hand.
Yeah, you could go for a Phalanx right here and basically use a Farfa-ish effect on the Aqua Dolphin. It returns the monster in the standby phase. However, you could also hope that your opponent destroys the Emeth in your hand.
I was going to say, I was thinking that maybe Kirollos, if he knows the Centurion deck, he might know that the Emeth is in Lorenzo's hand and might not want to take it out of Lorenzo's hand for him, because it does a much better job in the graveyard than the hand.
Fair.
But I mean, you can choose what you destroy, right? And if there's only one set card, the chances are high that Lorenzo also has something on the likes of an Ash Blossom or a Veiler. If there was impermanence, he would have said it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he could chain Veiler, targeting something that's not the Neospatial.
Oh, that's a
Aqua
good
Dolphin.
discard too. Not a card you necessarily want to draw, but as soon as it goes into the
oh.
graveyard, there wasn't even Ameth in there. It's Bestial, Baldrake, and Nibiru, and Baldrake is just small enough to get hit here with the effect of Aqua Dolphin, because that Diabellstar the Black Witch has 2,500 attack points as the Baldrake, so we can discard it.
Now, I don't know how good Baldrake is against the Infernoble strategy,
Fair.
because there are barely any darkness or light attribute monsters there. However, the information that there is a Nibiru, the primal being, in the hand of Lorenzo Muselli is very important to Kirollos, because now he can play around it. However, there's also still a Phalanx set, and that one might make this a little bit harder.
Is the Phalanx in the graveyard? Did he not discard it?
No, there's no trap card in the graveyard.
is that
it
what
has to be the set card.
What was the discard?
He discarded a spell card.
Oh, maybe my eyes were not so good.
Bonds?
Oh, maybe it was Bonds.
Might
Okay,
be
yeah,
Bonds.
I thought it was.
It was
a
either
Centurion
Oath or
card.
Bonds for sure, one of the two. So we went into one of the most powerful Link 2 monsters in the game. Isolde has been summoned. Two super good effects. And Lorenzo now has to consider whether he wants to interact with that Isolde right away. Oh, and I mean, it's such a valuable card. I think we may go for the trap card here. We may go for the interaction we have.
Is Kirollos
Oh,
running
he allows
multiple
it,
copies
though.
of Isolde? Because that is always a problem against those warrior combo decks. If you remove the first Isolde, they can just go into the second one if they did not activate the effect to send equip spell cards for a cost to the graveyard to special summon out a monster, because this has happened multiple times.
And let me tell you, there is two Isoldes in his extra deck. So therefore, that would be a possibility, and Lorenzo realized that and therefore did not do anything against the first Isolde.
I'm a little confused. Did he add a warrior?
That's what I was thinking too. I didn't see him adding a warrior.
He might have played around Droll Lockbird.
But he knows there is no Droll Lockbird.
What Droll Lockbird?
Better safe than sorry, guys, okay?
Fair.
The face down Droll Lockbird.
Yeah.
I get that. But in general, we talked a lot about the Centurion deck now already. What are we even thinking about Infernoble? Because I did a meta-analysis with Nadir before the event. You guys are also going to see the video of that throughout the weekend. And my secret pick to win the entire event, I'm not just saying that because we see it right now, but it was Infernoble. I think it is a deck with a super high ceiling, profited a lot by the release of the Wanted and the Sinful Spoils cards, so I really think it's a sleeper deck for this event. And Kirollos agrees, apparently. Do you agree as well, Tom?
I was going to say, I love the deck. I haven't actually played a lot with it. I love watching it. I know what the cards do, but I don't know how to combo with it myself. So I feel like I don't know, there's something missing in my brain to decide whether it's really good, because I guess you don't know until you've really played with it how it's gonna go. Like, I want it to be good. I love the Magius that lets you like shuffle back cards and draw cards and then equip it and then do it again next turn. That just seems so cool.
I think we're playing around the Nibiru now, but has Kirollos read the trap card?
That is a powerful Phalanx.
Indeed. Now we have the chance to trade that Phalanx with one monster. And before that, we had 3 monsters on the field. So that seems almost foolish. But there is a good card to activate to have further extension.
But I mean, maybe he has Forbidden Lands in hand. He can stop the Phalanx.
I don't believe that. There is no Forbidden Lands in the Infernoble decks and also not in the deck of Kirollos.
Unfortunate.
We can dream.
Yeah, but I see what you mean, Tom. Like, of course, watching a deck will always give you some information and some kind of feeling about a deck, but you always have to practice it yourself to really have an opinion on it, right? I totally understand that, feel that.
It feels like you have so many monsters and so many options, and you know your opponent has a Nibiru in the hand, and you can see it, and now it's just a puzzle, and you have to solve it. And I myself, I wouldn't know what to do in this situation.
Yeah. Also, Noble Arms Museum. When this card came out and I read it the first time, I texted so many people saying how crazy this card was.
I got
and
a
everyone was
well.
like, yes, and you are also like, yeah, I don't know, man, it's just a field spell. Look at this card. It is so good. It has multiple effects that all do a lot. Search one and special summon one?
I will say maybe you have to get better at convincing people, because by now I'm convinced, but it wasn't you that convinced me, to be honest. But I do agree with you now at this point that the card is crazy. Noble Arms Museum, such a powerful addition to the deck, and now Infernoble really is at the top level of the meta game again.
Yeah.
Maybe even good enough to take down the whole event here.
Just not being once per turn is the thing I think is
Yes.
just absolutely unbelievable about this card.
It really is. Okay, so we use the DDR to bring back the connector there.
Got to summon in attack mode with different dimension reincarnation.
And there comes Durandal. We are equipping the Durandal to the connector. And Lorenzo, interesting enough, still deciding to hold the Phalanx. I think he's just waiting for a very long time just before a negate is actually coming to the field that would be able to negate it. So let's see whether that can be forced by Kirollos.
Can you even chain Phalanx to the Appaloosa? Because then Appaloosa, if it's banished, can't lose attack.
Yeah, that works. That does indeed work.
Perfect. Well, then there is no rush.
Yeah, it's
Also, I like how Phalanx is incredible against Appaloosa because it loses all the attack points when it returns to the field. So it's really a good removal in this case.
for sure.
Not just something that delays the problem.
And there is, of course, the other piece of the Sinful Spoils package, original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, going to resolve. And now we see the synergy. Now we see why this is being played in the Infernoble strategy as well. Because we are about to get a level 1 fire monster onto the field here. Which one is it? Kirollos isn't sure himself, but there it is. And that should be Ricadetto, right?
Ricadetto.
Exactly.
I mean, just fitting, right? We are in Italy, Ricadetto coming to the field early on. It just all adds up. And now, okay, so it would be even better here, I think, for Kirollos if we would have the chance to go into Synchro 4, because Herald would be an option, but I'm just seeing there is no Herald in his extra deck, so I think instead we're probably just trying to go for a Synchro 5, because of course Angelica is pretty insane. But now the Phalanx was activated by Lorenzo. Lorenzo says, enough of that, I finally will use my interruption. And what is it going to be used on? The Appaloosa, okay. So I think Lorenzo wants to Nibiru here, right? That has to be the time he wants to go for it.
That doesn't have to be Nibiru as well, because you can also just go for one of his Centur-ION plays first. You can special summon out the Trinity to Dea and then go into the Legatio and pop a monster and draw a card before in Nibiru's. So I think that he doesn't... I mean, he can also wait and do that later on, right?
The Legatio is a level 12.
Yeah, but the Trudea increases level by 4.
Oh, it does,
Itself, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and Lorenzo does not plan on doing anything besides that just now.
Yeah, you're totally right, Leo. I just forgot.
I mean, it's a new card, just released in Valiant Smashers. Certainly, we don't have incredible experience with the deck just yet, and we are happy to see it right away here in the featured match by one of the pro players, one of the top players in the current European environment.
Nightmare Phoenix would be incredible here.
Ooh.
I'm kind of disappointed in Lorenzo not being dramatic enough, because he could have used Nibiru and then chained the Phalanx just to make it much more exciting.
Just for the moment, just for the clips, right?
But instead he had to use it early.
And there comes Angelica, and Angelica is going to fetch out a second copy of the museum. And you were saying it earlier, and it's completely true. Museum is not once per turn, and that's what it makes so incredibly powerful.
Who would have known?
Not you, Leo. Not me either. But no, I understand. I have to give you the credit, Leo. You saw it from the first second on.
That's
Why
all I
didn't you
ever
play
wanted.
the deck, huh?
Because I'm sitting here.
Fair. Fair enough, fair enough. Okay, so it really, I love watching Lorenzo. I know, Leo, he's one of your favorite players too,
Yeah.
but he's always super calm while playing. And it feels like, I mean, he's constantly sitting in finals and in semifinals and so on, so he has to make good decisions, but it always feels like he's making the perfect call for every single situation and staying perfectly calm while doing that. And that's just a hard thing to do. Okay, and now he decided to use his Centur-ION stuff, and therefore we are going to go into a Synchro Summon on our opponent's turn. And what is he going for there? It is
Looks
the
like Legacia.
Legacia, indeed, the in-engine level 12 Synchro monster.
Yeah, that's really cool because the Noble Arms Synchro there, it would have an effect if it were targeted, but Legacia does not target, it just destroys your opponent's monster with the highest attack points. So.
And draws a card.
And draws, lest we forget, draws a card as well.
And if we're looking at Lorenzo's deck list, there's like a 99% chance that he's drawing into another handed direction, which it can then stop his opponent. So Kirollos is now banishing the Wanted from the graveyard, putting back the Snake Eye and trying to draw a card.
Yeah, but honestly, it didn't feel like a whole lot of interaction that Lorenzo had there, but there's only one monster left currently, and he has not even used the Nibiru yet, so I feel like Lorenzo is still in somewhat of a good spot there.
I love how Kirollos did so much in this turn.
Yeah.
He summoned so many monsters,
Indeed.
and Lorenzo, with very few tools, just managed to stop him in his track so far. And he has the Nibiru available. There's no way to play around it anymore because you have played into it. Every time you would be able to summon a negate for anything, Nibiru could be dropped before. And this puts Lorenzo in a very decent position right here.
For sure. So we go for Heritage of the Chalice Bear, and
he
we
has
are
the
grabbing another monster from our deck. Which Infernoble Knight is this?
Turpin.
Oh yeah, that is Turpin indeed.
Lorenzo Musetti is a player you don't want to give any room to breathe in a game. You don't want him to have any sort of chance to get back into the game if he is having a bad start against you. And I mean, look what he's doing from so little stuff that he had available to him.
For sure, for sure. So there now comes the Turpin. Turpin on the field, immediately grabbing the extra deck. What are we going for here? Kirollos considering his options. Does he have a way to go for something impressive here? Is that just going to be another Isolde? Oh, I think that's a good way to play around the Nibiru though, finally. Because this card can protect your own monsters even if the Nibiru gets activated.
Lorenzo just pointing out there, like, SP Little Knight doesn't get to banish anything unless you use an extra deck monster.
Ooh, very good point. So Renault gets added back to the hand there.
And Legacia also has a built-in protection effect, if I recall correctly.
So,
Does it?
but
The monsters with 2,000 or less attack cannot be destroyed by battle. Okay, well, now it's not really that useful, but...
like, the thing is, okay, we got a safe spot here with the SP Little Knight to protect us. And also, we have not even talked about this card at all just yet, because this card is also from Age of Overlords, and here in Europe, we haven't had a YCS with this card being released just yet, because our last YCS was YCS Dortmund, where Age of Overlords wasn't in the game just yet. But this card made an impact. It may be one of the most popular extra deck monsters overall in the tournament, honestly.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's in almost everybody's extra deck this weekend.
Totally.
It's amazing you say it, because it feels like it's been in my head forever.
Yes, yeah, same.
You're right, it was not here for Dortmund. So powerful, so versatile, and for the Infernoble deck as well, the fact that it's a warrior is just a lovely bonus.
Oh, yes.
Kirollos just trying to summon out the Renault, but SP is not a fire warrior, it's just a dark warrior, and that way you cannot special summon that one. And now we are ending that turn.
Oh, we are in end phase. That's not great. So back to Lorenzo. He did manage to get through that turn. Kirollos couldn't end it.
He still has the nip, by the way.
True, he still has the nip. Okay, but Phalanx also is similar to the SP. Everything returns in end phase where the Appaloosa also comes back. So let's see how much that hinders Lorenzo from playing here. One question. Is Appaloosa even able to negate here? Because does it have 0 attack or does it have 2,400 attack now?
It has to have 0 attack.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
that's the case. So no negation from that Appaloosa anymore. No threat anymore at all.
Yep, and you can also see the strength of Legacia. Sometimes those little effects that you like to overread are just the best ones, because he got to set the Trudea as well in the end phase. And this is good follow-up to possibly go into a Calamity next turn.
Absolutely. And we see the easiest way to get around that SP Little Knight, of course, is just going into the battle phase when you have a bigger monster and just attack over it, which is just what Lorenzo did. He used his Legacios to attack over the SP Little Knight. And now in main phase 2, he's free to play because that SP Little Knight interaction is gone.
Do you think... So Lorenzo didn't have the Emeth in hand. So do you think like he's not going for this Calamity combo that everyone's been talking about? Do you think he's just taking a more relaxed approach?
Honestly, I think so. I think he probably has tested this deck the last 80 hours non-stop, and they found out that maybe just going for the big line, going for the heavy synchro approach, and just put everything to the table is not the way to go. Just play it a little bit more safe, play it more controlly, and I love that. And now there is the card we were missing in turn number 1, the card we were already mentioning. Now in turn 2, it's a lot more safer to do it. Emeth coming to the field, and now also, of course, we are going for another Synchro Summon. And that is one that we usually know from Dragon Link strategies, but it is also present here in the Centur-ION deck. And it is
the Cosmic Blazer Dragon.
Crimson Dragon into Cosmic Blazer Dragon.
And that's an immediate scoop when Kirollos sees the Cosmic Blazer Dragon.
Wow, 1-0 for Lorenzo Muselli, the reigning national champion of Italy and also top 4 player of YCS Dortmund, showing us once again his class and showing us that maybe Centur-ION is the sleeper deck of the event. Nobody really thought it would be, but here he is showing us that it's capable for sure.
Proving us wrong once again as well, because we thought, hey, this is not a good opening for him against a heavy combo deck. If you don't open with multiple interruptions, you're going to be in for a bad time. Turns out, no.
But I mean,
he had a
played
couple,
it perfectly,
didn't he? Yeah.
right? Honestly, because he was thinking, do I already need to have an interaction on the Aqua Dolphin? But he was like, honestly, if I just keep it, if I just hold it for long enough, it's probably going to be better impact. And we saw it was amazing impact. Like, he just waited for so long and he could trade those interactions so well. He basically traded one card for, it felt like 4 cards in total. It was really, really powerful what he did there. And I loved how he played that out.
To be honest, it didn't only feel like 4 cards in
Yeah,
total.
it was. It actually...
It was a very big Appaloosa.
It was indeed. So, yeah, let's have a look at the side decking options now, because, of course, Kirollos is playing an incredibly powerful going first deck with the Infernoble strategy. There's so much stuff happening on the first turn, but what's going on here after siding? Is there even more to support that? It seems like he's mainly focusing on going second cards, but there's just a couple of standard, I want to say, going first cards with Called by the Grave. Of course, you want to get that Droll Lockbird out of the way. There's also Crossout Designator, understandable.
I like the Crossout Designator with Per Leap.
That's a new technology that players have discovered, because they did not have enough side deck space anymore. So they decided, how can I play around that Pearly field the best? Because we want to play Crossout, and we are already playing Crossout, so we just have one more card to side. How about we side Pearly to play around the Pearly matchup as well? I like it as well. It's a super weird way of approaching the problem, but it does work in the end, and I love that too, yeah, for sure.
It's reminiscent of the players using Triple Tactics Thrust and then having like one of everything. You could do the same thing with Crossout Designator.
Yeah. And then a card that wasn't super popular over the last couple of events, but I remember it being really, really popular in early Kashtira strategies, for example, in YCS Lyon last year. And that was, actually, it was this year, but the beginning of the year and the last season. And it's Gravekeeper's Inscription. And that's one of the cards that has found its way into the side deck of Lorenzo Muselli. And I think it's a good call now that Telements is so popular again. I love the card.
Not only Telements, but also Unchained has some issues with the card.
Not just some.
Are sometimes very important. I think it's good that it's not in the main deck, because in Lyon, people were playing it in the main deck.
Yes, for sure.
It was a very, very powerful card back then. But we also have Rescue Ace, we have Pearly, and they don't really rely on the graveyard that much. Some effects are happening there, but not all of them. You can summon Turbulence without using the graveyard effect.
Absolutely. But now, after Lorenzo going first in game number 1, it will now be Kirollos' turn. So let's see what he can make with that advantage. Game number 2 coming your way.
All Alright, I'm going to get the Cosmic Blazer Dragon up for you guys again. If you saw it last game and were wondering what does this card even do, you can now read it.
It was gone so quickly, yeah.
Yes.
Immediately when that card hit the field, the game was over, basically.
I think the answer is just everything.
Yeah.
Okay, Kirollos again being able to start off with his Sinful Sports package here, which is what you want to start off with. Oh, but he doesn't have a whole lot of engine there, I think. He has Triple Tactic Talents, which is great, but besides that, not a whole lot.
I was just going to say, do you remember the trap card monsters that Kaiba used?
Yes, I
Crush
do.
Card Dragon, I think, and Mirror Force Dragon. I think Cosmic Blazer Dragon is like Solemn Judgment Dragon.
He kind of is,
Also,
yeah.
it's Negate Attack Dragon as well, because you can also end the battle phase of your opponent by banishing it.
Okay, so, I mean, there is a way into engine, Lorenzo, considering to interact now, because that would be the way into a level 1 fire monster, and it's going through.
Is a discarded impermanence of Sinful Spoils
Yep.
really a sign that your opponent does not have anything to play? Maybe they just don't want to give away their extender. Maybe they think, hey, I'm going first, I have a big combo, I'm just going to discard this impermanence.
You don't really need it, it feels like it. I think it's a good discard. For sure going first. And now let's see whether we can find additional engine. Can we get a connector or something there? A really powerful Norman summon? Oh, we can! In the form of reinforcement of the army. Any kind of warrior monster we want from our deck that's level 4 or lower. And it is the connector. Okay. So game 1 we had it. It didn't work out in the end. But now going first in game number 2, that information is really important to look into your opponent's hands.
Connector followed up by Triple Tactic Talents is absolutely massive. But now the impermanence answer to that is, of course, very, very strong. I was getting a little bit excited.
Leo losing his breakfast live on stream.
Okay, and there comes V Isolde. Isolde, is he going to search? I mean, one approach is also, oh, okay, but there is the Ghost Mourner, but we have seen that Kirollos has an answer to monster effects in his own main phase from his opponent, and it's Triple Tactic Talents. What are we drawing into? We couldn't search, but maybe we can draw into something that we wanted to search there.
It's never a good sign if you have to draw with Triple Tactic Talents. Imagine activating Pot of Greed and thinking, oh, this is not really what I want.
I think he's happy enough to do it here. Also Lorenzo, of course, being down to 3 cards in hand, that definitely helps. And Kirollos picking up the Rickedato, using its graveyard effect there.
Let's see, special summon a Fire Warrior or just a Warrior from your hand. This is really great because now you can make that second copy of Isolde.
Yes, indeed.
And one of the downsides, I guess, of that Ghost Mourner that Lorenzo is playing, even though it will inflict 1600 damage now to Kirollos, lest we forget, but you have to use it when the monster's summoned, so you can't wait for Isolde's summon from the deck effect. You have to use it straight away.
Yep, totally. So we were able to summon out Morgus, and now we are going to use the special summon effect of the Isolde. And there is another reason why Infernoble is so good now going first, or even stronger going first, because we saw the newly released card, Angelica's Angelic Ring, which was released in Age of Overlords, and that card is comparable to Magician's Right Hand. Do you remember that card? It can just negate the first spell card that your opponent is activating. So this even works for his cards like Super Polymerization or Dark Ruler No More. So it's just crazy, crazy, crazy. And he has decided to bring it to the tournament, playing it in the main deck there.
I love your comparison to a card that no one's probably ever heard
I mean,
of.
it is doing the same thing though at the end of the day. I don't even know, is it right hand or is it left hand? But one of the two it is.
I saw somebody try and combo this with Great Shogun Shien, which I thought was absolutely fantastic.
Ooh, that's classy.
That stops your opponent from activating more. It's a bit like when players use the Naturia Rose Whip with Regulus.
Yeah, look, it is the right hand. There we are, basically doing the same.
But it's not an equip spell.
That's true, that's true.
And you don't have to have a spellcaster. It's just completely different.
I see your point. Okay, now we go for the Phoenix Blade, which of course is also the main equip spell you're going to send with Isolde, because you can just easily recover it from the graveyard, activating it as well now onto the... This is Ogier that's on the field there, right?
Yeah, that's Ogier. Yeah, it's a great summon off Isolde because it lets you just send any Fire Warrior from your deck to the graveyard.
He's one of the OGs of the Infernoble Knights.
For sure. So we are going for a rank 4 here, and it is going... Oh yes, of course, another newish card that was a recent addition, and it's going to be the Battling Boxer Dempsey that is going to be summoned out here. This was in the which set was it? That was the set with the Celebrate card and also with the Battling Boxer cards, of course. And the support was really, really great for it overall.
Was it Soul Burning Volcano? Or was
Yes,
that
there were also
structure
volcanic cards in there.
Yeah.
Let's see, maybe we also see some volcanics over this weekend. That would be nice, wouldn't it be?
Oh, bold call, Sebastian.
I know, I know. So, Dempsey got us even more warriors here, because even though Battling Boxer King Dempsey is a Battling Boxer card, you can just search any kind of warrior monster. You can also just summon it with 2 level 4 monsters, so it's completely generic, so it really, really, really helps. Oh, there comes the Angelica now, right? Yeah, okay, we haven't had access to the museum, so let's get that museum out of our deck now.
Angelica's just crazy powerful.
Yes.
You get to search the museum, as you mentioned, and then you can, as long as you target it with something, you can banish it and summon a Captain Roland from your extra deck, and then send a Noble Knight. It just does so many things.
Yeah, all in one. The Princess of Noble Arms, certainly deserving its title.
For some reason, it reminds me of the World Chalice Ib, the level 5 synchro. Also searches one of the spell cards, and then if you synchro it away, it special summons something out from the deck.
Yeah, and that's forbidden. So
yeah,
this is probably pretty good if that's the comparison you're making.
All right, there comes Durandal. Durandal being one of the cards in the Infernoble archetype that is also being brought into other decks, because it can just search out a warrior monster, and it doesn't have to be one of the Infernoble monsters. So, for example, you could also just search out something like Raisin. I would say Lukas Janssen in the finals of YCS Dortmund may have played 1 copy of Durandal in his deck. So definitely something that is worth considering when you have any kind of warrior monsters in your deck.
It has such a fire warrior, but that doesn't seem to be an issue at the moment.
True, you're right.
Everything is fire warrior.
Yeah, true.
There's Rescue Ace, there's Vanquish Soul. Fire warriors, it's the year of the fire warrior for sure.
Yes, so Angelica, just quickly intervening because there was something that Kirollos forgot.
Maybe you're just supposed to send before you summon the Roland. I'm not 100% sure. That might be what the judges were pointing out.
Yep, there is the Gearfried being sent to the graveyard, another super powerful card. One of the older ones, but definitely still an incredible powerhouse. And the Infernoble Knight, Captain Roland, now on the field.
Yeah, it's a lovely card for this deck, because being able to equip it at spell speed 2 speed, so during your opponent's turn, it just kind of keeps the whole engine running very smoothly together.
It makes Charles pretty happy.
Yeah, it makes Charles very happy, just getting that pop on your opponent's turn.
Okay, so that is now going to be another... Is it going to be a Synchro Summon? Yes, of course. It is going to be now the biggest Synchro monster of the archetype. It's going to be the Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles, and that is the one you want to get to eventually.
Charles with his multiple pops. We are already equipping the Roland now.
Then we can make bigger Charles.
Yep. That, again, is one of the more recent additions. Of course, because it's a Link monster, it couldn't be that old. But yeah, Emperor Charles the Great can just link off the other copy of the Infernoble Knight Emperor Charles, and therefore equip it again. And there comes now the... all the big monsters now coming to the field. I love the end field that Kirollos is creating here. A lot of really powerful high attack monsters ready to negate, and really putting up an impressive field overall.
Yeah, and Lorenzo is already 2 cards down. So this is a great start for Kirollos. I mean, he's done all of this through 2 interruptions.
Very, very well played, yeah, for sure. But Lorenzo still, as I was saying, he doesn't seem impressed, right? He's still super calm, just considering his options, probably planning ahead already for his next turn, trying to figure out how he can still do it, how he can still play through this. He never seems bothered. He's just like a machine, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if he pulls it off. Okay, but he pulled off the scoop right there. Okay, he thought about it for a second, realized I ain't going to win this game, so therefore Kirollos taking one back, defeating the reigning Italian national champion here, making it a 1-1 game, and I think with right around 11 minutes left on the clock, we are going to have a game number 3 here.
Oh, that was very good comedic timing.
I was going to say, Lorenzo adding to his repertoire of great skills. It was the comic timing, yeah.
All of his skills in there, and now, of course, Lorenzo has the option to bring in some of his very powerful going first cards there. And the main card I'm looking at there is the old man that has been saying no for ages now, and is the Solemn Judgment, and he's citing that, yeah.
Tom, you have been pretty excited about this card when you saw it.
Well, so the the combo that Centurion, I don't want to say it's famous for it, but the one that people have been talking about with regards to the deck, it lets you summon a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Calamity. I think I got all of those adjectives in the correct order. And but it's a bit of a fragile combo. It's kind of all in. If your opponent has one interruption, Book of Moon or Spellbound or Book of Eclipse or whatever, then you wouldn't get anything for it. But if you have that one Solemn Judgment to protect it and then force through your Calamity, that could be pretty devastating.
Seems good, seems good. One thing that's dangerous, though, is I was just mentioning the 11 minutes that we had just before the game ended. So maybe they're going to start this game number 3 with roughly 9 minutes left on the clock or something. And then a card that makes you pay half of your life points is dangerous territory to me.
Good thing is that the Centurion combo is incredibly fast.
That's true.
Not many summons, let me tell you, and you're doing a little bit more stuff on your opponent's turn. But then also, once you have resolved your combo, your opponent is not really allowed to activate any cards.
Fair. Okay, I see that for sure. So we will see whether that works out or not. Let's see whether there are any other options. That Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill that we just saw, that was brought in from the side deck. He's just side decking that thrice. And I mean, that would also be a way to kind of counter the life points difference, because if you get that Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill to resolve, your opponent is also going to lose life points for that. So that's cool. And then what else? Do you think, I was mentioning Gravekeeper's Inscription early on, is that a card you want to bring in versus this deck? Because it is active for 2 turns, so your opponent would be affected by it. Is that something you want versus the Infernoble deck or not?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of effects. So there's the Divine Sword Phoenix Blade, there's Ricardetto in the graveyard, but it doesn't seem like it does enough.
Yeah, overall it's a little, but not enough, most likely. I agree.
I really like the addition of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit against the Infernoble deck, because it stops the Museum. If your opponent activates the first Isolde effect to add a card that cannot be used, you can just destroy the Isolde, and then your opponent will have to acquire 2 new warrior monsters to go into the second Isolde, and some people aren't even playing 2 Isoldes, even though I think that is really risky.
Yeah, for sure. Also, funny thing, Kirollos is siding 1 copy of Dimension Shifter. I'm super sure it is as a crossout target, but do we bring it in going second now in this matchup versus Centurion? Does Centurion even rely on the graveyard enough? Probably not, right?
A tiny bit, right? So it fetches something out the graveyard with Legatia, so, but not enough. It probably hurts you more.
You can still go for the combo, right?
Yeah, I think so too. It doesn't interfere with him enough, but let's see how it turns out in reality. Game number 3 coming your way once again.
I love the fact that you mentioned the Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, because I think it's Lorenzo. He secretly knows that the mirror match.
Oh yeah,
it's all about the mirror match, and people mention like, oh yeah, Ghost Ogre is like amazing, and they can destroy the field spell, the monsters, anything.
You know what other card is amazing that is just genuinely good and that I love and that I have been promoting for the last 10 years? Cosmic Cyclone.
Yes, thanks for letting us know.
This one also completely stops the combo of Centurion.
That's true. Okay, ooh, that's a sign of strength. When you can discard Pot of Prosperity out of your opening hand for the field spell, that definitely tells your opponent you have a good hand. But there's the impermanence on the Centurion monster on the field there, on the Primera.
I like the Pot of Prosperity as a discard in this deck. Usually I would always say go for the Prosperity, but if you don't really have grave effects to work with and you already have everything you want in your hand, then you would just rather discard this one, because it's not valuable engine or a resource that you want to use.
Yeah. Also, you get a draw with Legatia, so maybe if you already know you want to do that, you'd value, Prosperity, a draw plus 1 other card, or it might just be as a second Prosperity.
And this time we do go for the play right away in our first turn. We have summoned out the Amith, and we now also use the other effect of Legacia. And that was it again. Lorenzo quickly performing his turn in less than a minute. It's over to Kirollos. And he starts off once again. All 3 games he has access to Nail Space Connector. Is it going to resolve?
An answer to this Calamity that's about to come down?
We'll see. I mean, so far, Lorenzo has not responded to this.
Well, you have to do... you have to wait until your opponent's main phase. That's the only downside. So Kirollos kind of gets to take the first action, but then afterwards it looks like Lorenzo's just going for it.
There we go, special summoning them out. Now we want to use the field spell deck, but there's Cosmic Cyclone. You were talking about it, Leo. Congratulations. Finally, it has paid off.
Leo's definitely going to lose his breakfast today. He's getting... Cosmic Cyclone.
So no quick synchros there. That's crazy.
Oh, even on the field spell, that
Yeah.
is really good.
Okay, we get to search now, but of course it is the turn of Kirollos, so that card in our hand is not going to do a whole lot there.
And it's going to be revealed once again after. Whoa!
Oh, triple tactic
The triple
talent right
tactic
after.
talent. Are you taking something?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my, but there is Ghost Ogre, Ghost Mourner and Nibiru, so plenty of cards that are scary, and we are going after the Nibiru, and that kinda is telling us that Kirollos feels comfortable enough to play through Ghost Ogre and Ghost Mourner, which is a hard challenge to do, not gonna lie.
I'm guessing there must not be a way for him to summon another warrior, because otherwise you could have used the Aqua Dolphin.
Probably, yeah, you're right. So, there is going to be now the Isolde. Lorenzo probably clarifying which effect he wants to use. Okay, no, he just wants to say on the summon I want to get that Ghost Mourner out of there.
Now we have the reinforcement of the army. I'm just going to get this up for you guys in case you haven't seen the card yet. Such a great generic old card from one of the first sets, and now this is looking good because yes, Morna and Effect Veiler and everything on Ghost Ogre are annoying for the deck, but if you have extenders, it doesn't really stop you from doing all of your combos.
I don't know what can extend here, because the Fire Flint Lady, do you need to discard a Fire Warrior maybe? Or do you need to have a Fire Warrior? I thought you needed to have a Fire Warrior, and Isolde is not a fire.
That is true, indeed. It is not, but let's double check on the Fire Flint Lady.
No, it's just a warrior monster.
Just
The
a warrior
Renard means
monster.
the fire
There we
warrior.
go. Fire Flint Lady coming to the field. Immediately being used as a link material. What are we going into here? Another copy of Isolde, maybe? Yep, I think so. Here we go again. Isolde number 2.
I'm interested, if he had the reinforcement of the army to extend, why not use the Aqua Dolphin?
That's a good point.
Would have traded with the Ghost Ogre, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, the Ghost Mourner, and possibly the Ghost Ogre as well.
True. Maybe he just forgot. I mean, he used the talents to look into his opponent's hand, so in his head, maybe he thought I already used the Aqua Dolphin because it's kind of doing the same thing.
Maybe he doesn't have enough resources in his hand.
Fair.
This card.
Maybe he needed the reinforcement of the army, yeah.
So you think that one card in his hand, he wouldn't willingly trade it for Lorenzo's Ghost Ogre at this point? I guess we'll find out what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, at this point, Kirollos is playing against the time. He has less than 5 minutes. He's down 2,600 life points. He has to find a way quickly here to get a lot of monsters onto the field to turn this thing around.
The big question is, what does the Ghost Ogre even do here? You're going to send equip spells for a cost. This could be Ghost Ogre, however you're still going to summon out a monster, and I don't think that Lorenzo wants to throw the Ghost Ogre in here. What other points of the combo can you realistically ogre? You can throw it on a museum later on.
Yeah. Also, maybe Angelica. I could see that, but it also doesn't seem incredibly powerful. I think mainly you just want to get it on the first effect of Isolde, right? As a surprise factor, so your opponent cannot use the special summon effect anymore. I mean, as we have seen, Kirollos just plays multiple copies of Isolde, so that's not that big of a factor anyways. But I think that was mainly the way it has been used in the past. But Lorenzo has decided to go for the Ghost Mourner first here. Of course, maybe also because he wanted that burn damage by the Ghost Mourner there.
Yeah, so I was trying to figure out where the extra 1,000 had come from. It's the Cosmic Cyclone. So
Yes.
Leo's very excited about it, but if it was Mystical Space Typhoon, he'd have 1,000 more life points right here.
Yeah, but then the Centur-ION field spell would be in the graveyard. Not that it makes a difference, but it's good that it's banished. We like that.
But it also shows you that Kirollos knows how the Centur-ION deck is working, right? Because he sided in those Cosmic Cyclones, knowing that they can prevent the Synchro Summon on his own turn, and therefore he definitely showed us that he thought about Centur-ION while preparing his deck, and that's a good sign.
Maybe he just didn't want to get phalanxed again, because in the first turn, there was a set trap card that would be really good in the graveyard.
Okay, we go. It seems like we're going into the battle phase, right? That looked like battle phase. Oh, but no, there comes the Ameth. Oh, are we in end phase?
Wait,
no, we are drawing through Legacia, right? And that is the handshake. I guess Lorenzo is taking it down, right? That must be the explanation. Kirollos just realizing there's no way I can do this anymore, realizing we cannot win this here, and then in the next turn, Lorenzo is going to have too much, and therefore Lorenzo keeps winning.
Yeah, I mean, that
What
was
a surprise.
it was a lovely hand for Lorenzo, really. He had a ton of interruptions and his engine. He had that nice, like, 2 engine pieces, so when the first impermanence came down, he just breezed through it with the field spell.
And that is something that a lot of very strong players have said about the deck. It is incredibly easy to set up your combo. You don't need a lot of engine in the deck. You have cards like Pot of Prosperity that increase your consistency. You can also always discard it and go for an extra draw. You have so many hand trips. You have so many interactions on the opposing turn that are generic cards that you can just include however you want to. It is really, really strong. And of course, even if you get stopped, the follow-up of this deck is absolutely insane. I think that the Cosmic Cyclone came on the perfect timing to use it on the field spell, because then the monsters are already special summoned into the main monster zone and cannot be used as traps in the next turn again. So I think that was absolutely ideal. But Nibiru, Ghost Mauler and Ghost Ogre were just simply too much to overcome.
And I mean, also, of course, he waited for that so that he could also get his triple tactic Talons live. But once again, I'm not getting tired of preaching you how good Lorenzo Muselli is as a player. The moment his opponent activated the Infinite Impermanence, I think he took a quarter of a second to continue his play. Like, he immediately knew, okay, if he imperms this, I'm going to just continue to do it this way. He didn't even care. It was so easy for him. I think if that first effect would have resolved, he probably would have just grabbed Phalanx again, I guess, right? As he did in the first game. But yeah, he knows his stuff. He's definitely one of the people to watch out for, maybe to win this entire tournament.
Yeah, I just wanted to say what Leo said about the Centurion deck. It sounds a lot like what people were saying about the Kashtira deck before.
Oh, yes.
And
that's
Lorenzo,
maybe the connection, right?
A massive fan of the Kashtira deck. Obviously, he played it for almost a full year, so maybe that's why he's picked this deck up.
I was thinking about Zodiac, actually, but you're absolutely right. Kashtira is a much more recent connection to make there. But we have heard that Ed is already prepared for the winner's interview with Lorenzo, so take it away, Ed.
Thank you, Leo. I'm always prepared for a winner's interview after a brilliant feature match such as that. I am joined by Lorenzo Muselli, the Italian champion, who's just taken that round 1 feature match win. Lorenzo, how do you feel? You're coming back to the same venue of your triumph. How does it feel winning the first match already?
It feels great, obviously. Coming back home in this specific venue is something special for me. And obviously I want to repeat myself. And the first round went really good, so I hope continue this way.
I hope so as well, because it'll be nice to see you kind of coast through to another win here. But, you know, we're still early days. Talk to us a bit about your deck. You're using Centurion. This is the first time we've seen that on the feature match. So what is it that you like about Centurion? What made you pick that deck?
I think the format is a lot of end-trap format. So the deck with 1-card combo is usually the best one. Centurion has a lot of 1-card combo and can offer a lot of non-engine cards. So I think he's one of the best picks for this tournament.
I mean, it definitely went well. Just going through your game, you managed to play around Appaloosa in the first game. You kept that Nibiru in hand. That Legatia is just a really, really good card. What is it that you find is sort of the win condition of that deck when you go, I can win now? Is it usually just having Legatia out and hoping they don't out it?
No, the main win condition obviously is the Calamity.
Yeah, Calamity is always a big one.
If you summon Calamity, you obviously win. But also Legatia, summon in your opponent turn, destroy 1, draw 1. So I draw, like in the first game, I don't use it, but because I don't need it. But I draw Veiler with Legatia, so it was incredible. And the main focus is Legatia and Calamity.
They're definitely staple, and like, watching you get those down was really exciting. Going to game 2, obviously there was quite a bit more from Kirollos that time. I think you just decided, I just want to get into game 3, and then you got into that game 3. There was a moment where Kirollos had some really strong combos going on, but you still managed to play all the way around that, managed to get all the way through, and then you took the win. So when you're up against quite a threatening looking combo or quite a threatening field with Centurion, what are you thinking about in the moment?
So in the game 3, I started with Prosperity and True Engine, and True Entrap. And I draw another one with Legatia, so I feel really comfortable. Obviously the Cosmic hurt a lot, but I had 3 Entrap in Nibiru, Moon and Ghost Ogre, and it was pretty tough because you use Impairments, Cosmic, already 2 cards out of the end, so 4 cards. So I know that I was gonna win that game. So
I mean, you did great. You did fantastic. Is there anything that you're worried about with Centur-ION going up against this weekend?
No, I test a lot, I prepare a lot the deck in the better way possible. And I think that I'm prepared for every problem. So I'm not fear of any problem. So.
A confident man, and that's what we like to see. A man who's going to tackle the meta single-handedly here at YCS Bologna. Congratulations, Lorenzo. Best of luck in your next games. Guys, we've got loads of coverage coming up. We've got a venue walk around to take you around here. We've got lots of great interviews. But first, let's take a quick look at exactly what's happening in the meta in the trading card game right now.